Ashes to Honor is a nonprofit whose mission is to recover and recreate lost and damaged records of military veterans. Here's the story.
The moment that I realized that my grandfather's records were actually lost in the fire, it kind of opened up multiple doors for us. So not only did we realize that there was 18 million records affected, but not only that, my grandfather was affected. So seeing where the records had been kept, the lack of fire suppression, the year that it happened, so many different factors playing in, it really drove me to be like, okay, why did it happen? How many people have been affected? There's really no estimated number. You know, with 18 million records, there could be countless veterans that have been affected, and it's from about World War I to Korea and Vietnam. Guys that were coming home right off the battlefield a couple years later, lost. You know, they didn't have anything. So getting VA care, getting the proper burial respects, getting proper care, that just wasn't feasible for many, many men. I just got out of the military on September 30th, so I was in for 11 years and 11 months. Throughout my time in the military, I understand how the paperwork works. I understand how, you know, hurry up and wait is, and a lot of people, when they're told no, you know, if they try to request the records, they'll just give up. They're like, oh, nope, the records are lost. We don't give up, right? So we're not regulated by any state or federal entity, so I can go to the FBI, I can put in FOIAs through the DOD, I can go to Human Resources Command of the Army, I can go through so many different chains that your local veteran agent can't. The fire at the National Personal Record Center happened on June 13th to the 16th in 1973. The fire burned for about 3 days. It started on the 6th floor of the building and went all the way down. A lot of the damage is not actually fire damage, it's smoke, and it's a lot of water damage. Even with partial records, they're able to still pull certain pieces out and be like, okay, yep, this gentleman, John Smith, served from, you know, so-and-so. It takes a lot of work to actually recover certain things, but it's not impossible. And for the longest time, everybody thought that it was impossible, but it's not. They're using the same technology that they're using to read the hieroglyphics in Egypt to read the papers that have been burned, that are so destroyed that they're actually using that same kind of technology to figure out what is on these papers that are smoke and water damaged. The biggest challenge for recovering my grandfather's records, I would have to say, is the fact that he was in the Army Reserve. The reserves have always been like the redheaded stepchild of any of the branches. Their records have been kept in many different places. It's kind of a crapshoot when you're trying to figure out where certain things are. The MRO is the Military Records Office, and they hold on to absolutely everything except for the reserve component. So if you're National Guard or active duty, you can call them up, you can send them a request letter, and basically get anything there. There's so many different components to the government, right? At the federal level, you're really playing with some big dogs. You have to learn the lingo, you have to see, you know, who is where, who does what, and I've been figuring that out slowly. So the broader picture, after realizing that my grandfather's records were actually lost, was how many other people has this happened to? How many men are buried that didn't get the proper respects? There's got to be Bronze Star recipients, there's got to be Purple Heart recipients, there's got to be people that did some valorous actions, courageous movements in the time of war that didn't get anything at their time of death. The biggest thing for me is like, okay, if we can do it for him, we can do it for anyone. So now I want to find as many veterans that have been buried without the proper respects and take care of that. And, you know, the Army will come out with like the honor guard, and they'll fold a flag. It doesn't matter if the veteran just passed away or if they've been dead for 40, 50, 60 years. That's something that they are entitled to. You know, they earned that when they, you know, either got drafted or when they signed up. That's the biggest heartbreak for me, is that there's men that were telling everyone for the longest time, oh, I served in World War II, I served in Korea, Vietnam, whatever, and they got nothing at the end of the day. You know, that's honestly like the biggest key point for me, is, you know, getting that fixed. Say if a veteran comes to us and they're like, hey, you know, I think I've been affected by the fire. We recently had like a release form drafted up, so we've been giving that to the veteran. If nothing comes back, right, that's where it gets really challenging. If John Smith served and he's the last one out of all of his battle buddies alive, right, that's going to be the biggest issue. If there is living, you know, company mates or anything else, we could use what's called like a buddy letter. It's basically an affidavit saying like, yes, I served next to so-and-so on this date, he was there. We can send that to them. If not, we can recover photos, if there's any other records, if pictures, you know, videos, absolutely anything. Even letters like to and from home, that stuff really does matter. All of the proof, that's where it really comes into play. I can send that off to the government and say, hey, like, I have tons of proof here. You cannot deny that this person served. And they're like, okay, you know, we'll look into it. It'll take a couple weeks, couple months, you know, but still, Doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as we can actually get it done. June 30th, we had done our first posthumous honors. There was a gentleman from the town of Dennis, and he had served in World War II along with 6 of his brothers. And sadly, he lost his records in the fire. So he had passed away in 1994, but his entire life he didn't want any sort of, recognition, respects. He didn't want to be the veteran that, went off to war, right? That's the biggest issue with the greatest generation that ever lived, is they didn't want the recognition. They did their job, they came home, and they worked until they passed away. It took us 45 minutes to find his records at the Massachusetts Archives when the government's had 51 years to do it. State Rep Steve Exaris was present there. There was other local veterans entities there. I had the flag. Plymouth Police gave us a full escort down to the graveyard in Dennis, and every town from Plymouth to Dennis actually hopped in. So it was a really special moment, and sadly there's not a lot of family left, but his grandson, probably in his 30s or 40s, actually was the one to receive the flag. Seeing the effect that it had on not only him, but everybody else there was really, it honestly touched me, right? I'm not a very emotional person, but that I had to step back and I was like, dang, like that really, this is a really special thing, It's fixing what has been lost for so long, and if you've been looking for it or wondering about like what your loved one did, this is perfect. That's just one instance, but there's many more. And being a 2-person team, this is not going to happen overnight. It's already been 51 years. I don't want it to take 102 years to try to fix everything. I hope that people realize the importance of honoring those who made the sacrifice, those who served in the greatest battles in history. I would like the next generations to be able to read the stories of these great men and women that served and didn't get the chance to be honored. So not only when we posthumously honor or find records, like we're not just helping someone, right? We're figuring out the person's story. We're telling what they did in the most challenging time in their lives. I would just like to have everybody just read up on what we're doing, ask us questions, send us an email, just help us. If you know someone, or even family members, if you know someone that has been affected, please reach out. Help us help everybody else. I would say the reflection of my service to what we're doing to Ashes to Honor would really be that I don't give up. You can't tell me no. There's not a single entity that is going to tell me no. There's a mission that has to be completed, and I'm going to complete it. If it takes me the rest of my life, I'm gonna try to do as many posthumous honors, saving veterans with health care, helping as many veterans as possible, families too. My time in the service, it was a long time. This is helping me mature in my adult life, because I've learned so much about so many amazing people, like from the start of doing this till now. Like the military shaped me into who I am today, and I'm not gonna give up.
If you enjoyed this video by the local scene, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching.